This is Jon Gabriel, and welcome once again to part 3 of this 4-part holistic weight loss webinar series. And as you already know, the conventional approach to weight loss through restrictive diets and calorie counting doesn't work. And the purpose of these webinars is to provide you with real holistic solutions that do work. Also, as you probably know, my coaching team and I are about to embark on a very intense one-on-one private coaching program called the Ultimate Coaching Experience. And since all of us, myself included, are going to be working one-on-one, it's going to occupy the bulk of our time very soon. So we decided to make this amazing webinar series available freely to everyone before we disappear for a while. So, today's class is the 3rd class in the series, and it's called Have It All Undiet Secrets. And I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleague, Heather Fleming. Heather's a new member of the Gabriel Method coaching team. Just to tell you a little bit more about Heather, she's the author of the Have It All Diet. She's incredibly creative and energetic and knowledgeable and successful in her weight loss and undiet approach. So let's bring Heather on. Heather, are you there?
Hi, John. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
I'm great. Thanks so much for coming. And before we start, Heather, I just want to tell people about this documentary. So I was invited to be on a documentary about a month ago where I didn't know too much about it except for the fact that they had 4 people that they rented a house in Beverly Hills, California, and they had 4 people that they were living in the house and working with for 4 months. And I was a little bit skeptical because to me it sounded a little bit like a Biggest Loser type of thing where, you know, you starve people for 4 months and exercise them through the gazoo, and then watch how they suffer and lose weight. And I thought, well, at least I can go and give some visualizations and maybe have my spin on things. So I went, and what I found was it was very, very much the opposite. This is where I met Heather. Heather was the nutritionist and the diet counselor and consultant for this documentary. And her approach to nutrition and to health dovetails with our method so incredibly well. And she was encouraging people, even on camera, she's encouraging people, have more, have more. But it's salads, it's really fresh, healthy, live, real foods and meats and chickens. And she's on camera saying, have more, have more. And so these 4 people, one of them lost 100 pounds. Yep. In a 4-month period, totally transformed. When you see the pictures of him talking before, you wouldn't believe it. Another one lost 80 pounds, another one lost 70 pounds, another one lost another 20 or 30 pounds. It was unbelievably successful. I think the producer had no idea how successful it was because he didn't even have experience in weight loss. But it's going to be an incredible documentary because what it does is it shows the right way to approach weight loss, not the wrong way. And Heather was instrumental in making this successful. And when I met her, I said, look, you and I have to work together. I need you to be a Gabriel Method coach. So that was our sort of introduction. I would like to ask you this question. And Heather, I'm going to ask you this question too. I know your answer. But the question is it really possible to have it all and still lose weight? And if so, how? That's my question. Chat, we would love to hear your answers. Tell us what you think. Is it really possible to have it all and still lose weight? So Heather, I'm going to ask you that question.
Well, I better say a pretty good answer, huh?
I'm putting you on the spot.
Right. My biggest epiphany came when I was working with this amazing physician who was super supportive with nutrition here in California, and I got to be his nutritionist. He handed me a newspaper article, and it said on the front page that broccoli is going to cure cancer. And then the next side of the page of the newspaper said broccoli caused cancer. And I just remember getting so frustrated. I just threw my hands up in the air. And then my epiphany came the next day where I realized you cannot find nutrition outside of yourself. It's within yourself. It's you connecting to you and the food. It's not following a plan outside of you. It's listening to your body and following that plan.
Wow.
So that's the connection I made. And I just really people kept hiring me and wanting me to put them on restrictive diets. And I'm like, no, I want to help you adapt to life, not be restricted, because every day changes, our body changes. So some days you may need more starches or, more root vegetables, and the next day you may need more lean protein because of a workout you had. Learning your body's signals will help you adjust to how to tailor the foods your body needs.
So what's the problem then? Let's just talk about diets for a second. What's the problem with most diets?
Everyone's trying to be perfect. They're trying to be perfect, and there's no such thing. There's no such thing as the perfect diet. The perfect diet is in the present moment, that you know that that food is going to support you. And if it is emotional eating, you just smile and you just have that dark chocolate and go for it. If you're getting ready for a big presentation and you want to eat well to feel more alive and more on your game, then you go have the lean proteins with the extra vegetables and healthy fats. You just learn to just be in that present moment and not try to be perfect or off or on your diet. There's no such thing as off or on either, because that just sets us up for failure.
I just want to endorse that last statement, because that was a huge turning point for me, was when I was no longer off on, when I no longer had the good days and the bad days. And I said to myself, I'm never going to have a good day again. I'm never going to have a bad day again. I'm going to eat what I'm going to eat. And I'm going to nourish my body. And if I want something else, I'm going to eat something else. But you talk about some other things about how diets cause the yo-yo effect because of the good day, bad thing, how they put you in famine mode. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Like, just even that thought alone changes the chemistry of your body. Like, even that stress of like, oh, it's okay, so today I'm going to do really good. You've just set yourself up for already up for failure in the morning.
That's true.
Because the day can just change like that. So, and it actually releases a hormone called cortisol, which we only need in very small amounts when we are, getting ready to run a race or getting chased by something, or, just need a little cortisol and adrenaline. But what happens is everybody starts their day out in a cortisol rush, and then they're in adrenal fatigue all day. So even if they are trying to eat well, their body's already starting out in a compromised position, and it's just going to keep adding stress if they do not eat well. Then they're going to keep adding more stress.
I remember what that was like. You wake up in the morning and you say, this is going to be a good day, and you measure out your protein shake, and you you have your eggs without the toast. And you're feeling good, and then the whole day you're fighting until it's like, oh, forget it.
So when you're against something, you're just always trying to, it's like you're running around trying to run away from it versus running towards what you really do need. So. But
this famine state, is something we talk a lot about, and I know you address it also. That not only is this stress of being on a diet elevating your cortisol levels, but the famine state of actually being hungry and not satisfying that hunger, that causes stress too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's like that little birdie on your shoulder telling you, oh, well, we need that more too. We need more of that. So it's just that constant self-talk also.
Yeah, very much. And what happens is your body if your body feels like there's a scarcity, it just wants to hoard. It just wants to hold on. And a lot of us have lived through that, and it just makes no sense at all when you try to lose weight that way. I mean, logically it makes sense that it should work, but we all know at this point that it just doesn't work.
Well, that's what the sumo wrestler diet. They don't eat all day and then eat one large meal, too. And take a nap. That's how sumo wrestlers gain so much weight to fight.
Is that right?
Yes.
In my book, I talk about how I got my cat to gain weight by putting him on a diet. I starved him, basically. I didn't starve him, but I just gave him very limited bland food for a month, and then I gave him an all-you-could-eat diet, and he put on weight. He was too skinny, so. So let's talk about what does work, though. Okay, so now we know diets don't work, and everybody that's listening, maybe they don't understand the chemistry behind it or the philosophy behind it, but they've certainly all lived it. So what does work? And I know I'm asking the right person because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen you know what works, and you know how to make people lose weight. So what does work?
Well, my strategy with the documentary was, honestly, when I saw, even though they were overweight and obese, I only saw malnourished. That's all I saw in my head. I just went, I don't care about their weight. I need to get their body the vitamins and minerals it needs to detoxify correctly. When we don't have the vitamin and minerals we need, we can't get rid of the toxins. Thus, the body stores body fat. And then we know what happens after that is more disease symptoms come about. Eczema, from dry skin all the way to, heart disease. Those are the symptoms that arise when your body is not getting the nutrition it needs.
Including also depression, bipolar disease, type 2 diabetes, chronic fatigue, many, many things,
It's just your mood is already compromised from not getting the right amount of essential fats to feed your brain, because our brain is 60% fat. And then we have the mood swings and then the depression, and then you just go back, you wake up the next day and you start all over again, eating, just not feeding yourself correctly.
Right. So you came into this group of people they're 200, most of them were at least 200 plus pounds overweight.
Yeah.
One of them was what, like 450, I think?
Yes, 446
Yeah.
pounds, yep.
446 pounds. You saw a bunch of extremely overweight, extremely malnourished
I saw malnourished
individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And,
Yep.
and so what did you do?
Number one thing I didn't worry about, which they were worried about, was I didn't care about portion control.
Yeah.
Their plates were heaping. It was so fun to see their eyes, and they were like, what is this crazy girl doing to us? And I would just heap their plates. Everything had a bed of greens. If we were having scrambled eggs, it would have a bed of greens. If we were having salmon, it would have a bed of greens. And then their whole plate would be filled with avocado and other essential fats and olive oil, and their mouths would be dropping like, I can eat this. And I said, absolutely. I needed to get them off their sugar cravings. I needed to get their blood sugar balanced, and I had to get their organs nourished to get their liver to detoxify, because our liver is our main filter. And if the liver wasn't getting vitamins A through Z, it's not going to be able to filter out the body fat, the toxins, the excess plaque in their arteries. So I was all about, I actually saw them as in a famine mode. I saw them in famine mode and needed to get them oversatiated so they would be successful. I wanted to only set them up for success.
Beautiful. And, you know, I learned something from you also that weekend. I always talk about adding a salad or making it a salad, but the way you phrased it, I think, is much more effective. You phrased it, put everything on top of a salad,
yeah.
which is different. You know, if I say add a salad, you're going to end up with a couple of lettuce leaves on the side of your plate that's getting pushed off, you know?
Yep.
In the hustle and bustle, it ends up getting pushed off. It's swept aside.
Absolutely.
But to actually say put everything, what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just to actually say put everything on top of a salad is a different concept entirely, and it's really what I meant, and I love that.
And just because even all of us, like, I didn't do celery sticks the whole week. I did all non-diet. I didn't add any diet food the whole first week or two because I didn't want
cottage cheese.
No cottage, yeah, nothing bland. I wanted them to taste the food. I wanted them to taste what real food was, and that would be something they would start to become addicted to, which has definitely happened way even sooner than I expected. I was kind of getting nervous they were losing weight so fast. I was like, I need you to eat more sweet potatoes. I need you guys to eat a little more. I had to give them more because I was getting nervous on how much weight they were losing.
That's amazing. This is getting, I don't want to get too far off topic, but I can't help but ask you right now, because we, like, one of the things I've discovered makes a salad taste really, really right is a good salad dressing. I'm just wondering, obviously you must have done something right there to get them to love the food. So what do you usually like to use when you
well, when you were visiting, I made a fun one. I did a coconut milk Caesar-like dressing.
Oh.
Because the main things we all usually crave are sweet and salty, and then crunchy and creamy. And so I always try to balance eating the meals out like that, so people get those cravings and get those cravings satisfied. Otherwise, all of a sudden, after a couple weeks go by, they'll be like, I can't not live without that. So I did a coconut milk, a little bit of a Caesar with the herbs of a Caesar dressing. Otherwise, I would do olive oil and some mustard sometimes, just to give them different flavors to satisfy all of those flavors in our mouths.
I think that's brilliant, because you never usually get creamy in a diet. That's like one
Correct,
thing.
because that would be non-diet. So yeah, I like to kind of throw of course, I named my book Have It All, because I'm wanting us to think differently about food, because food is our friend, not our enemy, too.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about the Have It All approach. What is in a nutshell the Have It All approach?
The Have It All approach. The number one thing I wanted to conquer with that name was guilt. I really saw guilt was such the lowest energy feeling that a person could have after they would even feel guilty if they ate a piece of dark chocolate, because they were wanted people to let go of that word. Because again, it's as low as a vibration as like hate, and that changes your whole chemistry of your body when you feel guilty. When you feel stressed and angry, your body is on a hyper alert too. So it's not, if you do go eat healthy, you're not going to be able to assimilate vitamins and minerals well because you're so stressed out. So the number one thing I wanted to get rid of was guilt, and that word restriction, get rid of that whole dieting and restriction. Most nutritionists use the word moderation a lot, and I don't really love that word either.
I don't like that word either.
Oh, good.
I really don't. You know why I don't like that word? Because moderation to me is synonymous with unsustainable.
Oh, well said. well said.
You know what I mean?
Like,
moderation means moderation for a while. It doesn't mean you can't moderate forever. You can moderate for a while.
I like that.
Am I right?
I like that. I just know that if I'm eating a piece of I keep using dark chocolate, but if I'm eating a piece of dark chocolate, I'm going to love it fully. I'm not going to just moderately like it. I'm going to really like it. Or a piece of fresh caught salmon. I'm not just going to, I need that small piece and moderate and moderate. It's going to be, no, fully enjoy. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say I love your concepts because they're just so radical.
Yeah.
You know, it's something I've lived through this, and obviously we can see it it's worked with so many people, but it's just so radical to mainstream. You know, everything, especially chocolate. Usually when people have chocolate on a diet, it's going to first of all it's going to taste like chemicals. Have you ever had one of those protein bars, you know, that you get at like a GNC or something? I mean, to me they taste like if you were to take chewing gum and then combine it with like the chemicals, dust on the floor of a chemical laboratory, you know, and then coat it with some sort of chocolate with artificial flavors on top of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's sort of what that is to me. So diving into what you're eating and loving it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you find though that what happens, because I've had this experience, I'm wondering if you see it with people, do you find that as we start diving into healthier and healthier foods that our tastes actually start to change?
You'll start to crave more alkaline foods because your body has become more susceptible to that, and it wants the alkaline foods, and those are usually our whole foods versus chemically processed foods. So yes. Over time, it takes anybody, I usually see minimum 3 days to like 3 weeks or 3 months, depending on where the person's at.
Yeah. But to me, that is the essence of the have-it-all approach. The essence of the have-it-all approach is when you can have whatever you want, but everything you want is healthy. So like I probably eat as much as anybody I've ever met, but I eat everything I want, and I eat whatever I want, but everything I want is just healthy now.
Yep. That's my approach too, is people always want me to tell them what they can't eat, and for the first few weeks, like I mentioned with our other clients, is that I usually implement things first. I don't sit there and go, no, you need to go off your Diet Coke. Oh, you have to go off this. I don't go and try to put out all the fires. I actually go in and go like in the back door and get the body more balanced with blood sugar and their brain more nourished with healthy fats. Then all of a sudden their body doesn't crave the Diet Coke as much or need it. That the crutch that their body goes for that. So the back door is the other way.
So exactly. So I want to bring Jenny in because we got lots and lots of questions here. We've got I don't know how many people. We probably have close to 1,000 people on the webinar right now. We're getting lots of questions, and Jenny wants to ask some questions. But before she does, she just texted me. People are asking the name of your book. So the name of your book is The Have-It-All Diet by Heather Fleming. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. And then
does it have recipes? Does it have recipes?
It has. I want to say 90 recipes or so.
You can say that
without me counting them.
Okay. All right. And okay. So Jenny, let's bring Jenny. Jenny, are you there?
Yes, John. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Going? Yeah, good. Thanks, yourselves. And
Good.
on the extension of the book, somebody was asking if there are some good options for vegetarians.
Yes.
Okay, great.
My company is called consciousnutrition.com, and I say over half of my clients are vegetarians because of that business name, because of the website. I get a lot of vegetarian clients.
Right. And just to remind people also, Heather is one of our coaches. She's part of our team now. I mean, she's involved in many things. She's very busy out of her sailboat. She lives in a sailboat and works out of her sailboat in where's it, Marin County?
The best office space ever. San Diego.
I just think that's so cool. I mean, to me, you are cool. You rock.
I have it all.
Anyway,
I have it all, right?
She has it all, and one of the things she has is she has us, and we have her as one of our coaches. So she can be accessed through us. If you have questions for her, you can email us, and we can pass them on. But anyway, Jen, what's happening?
Another quick one. What's the name of the documentary, please?
We don't know. They have a working title, but we don't have the name.
They've got a great working title, which we're not allowed to
I know we're not allowed to say. It's an okay title. I'm curious what you'll go with. You like it?
I love it. I don't know. Maybe you didn't get the same title as I got.
We might have two different titles.
Well, I'm going to tell Randy that I like my version of the
Okay,
title. But Jenny, just to let everybody know, we'll in about 3 months, we'll send a notification out to everybody.
Absolutely.
And it'll have one of those titles, either the good one or the bad one. It'll have on it.
Okay. All right. Avita asks, is there more information on what seeds and nuts are less in L-arginine?
Say that again. Which
Is there
seeds
more
and nuts? Go ahead.
Are less in L-arginine?
Okay, that question. I'm not sure that question makes sense. It sounds like what you're asking is which seeds or nuts have less L-arginine. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I wouldn't know that, but L-arginine is an amino acid, and it would be really tough to tell which seeds or nuts do or do not have that. Or do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have that on the top of my head. I would have to do some research.
Can you start with an easier one, Jen?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That would have to be
Okay. Terry says, does all include chocolate? He says, yes, but I need to do something. He says, or she says, yes, but I need to do something that heals whatever pain is pushing me to eat the stuff that used to feel good when I was suffering like a little baby girl. I'm still trying to do this, and I'm still hopeful.
Good answer. A good question.
Great question.
Okay, so do you want to address that?
Go ahead,
I have a
John.
couple
I'll
of
let you
thoughts.
take that one.
All right, well, the first thing I want to say is that chocolate. They've discovered that chocolate creates a chemical hormone, especially in women, in the brain. It evokes the same neurotransmitters as the ones for when you're in love or when you're feeling love. And love and safety are very much synonymous as far as I'm concerned. And so chocolate is doing that. But that being said, I eat chocolate all the time, mostly dark chocolate. I use unsweetened cacao, and I sweeten it with either fruits or nuts or seeds or certain sweeteners like coconut palm sugar or stevia. So there's no reason why you can't have chocolate, but certainly this whole webinar series, like the last one, if you listen to the last one, Terry, we addressed emotions and stress extensively, and I would refer you back to that. But we look at the whole picture, and right now we're really focused on getting the food part right.
Yeah, well, from a nutrition science approach, besides emotional with chocolate, I just try to really tweak, the balance of proteins, carbohydrates, and fat for the client. And sometimes when protein and fat are too low, we tend to have more chocolate, sugar cravings. So that would be some way to look at your macronutrients and just try to balance those as best as you can. And that's what I help people with our nutrition programs.
Okay. But by the way, somebody just texted in an answer that almonds have the most L-arginine.
I wanted to know if I thought the question was least amount.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I didn't know either. Okay.
I mean, everybody knows almonds. No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
Okay, so Jen, you want to ask another question, then we'll keep going?
Yes, how long does it take for the body to come out of a famine state once you start doing everything properly?
It depends per individual. I've seen minimum 72 hours, and I would say, minimum 72 hours, maximum 3 weeks, depending on the conditions and the symptoms.
Yeah. So again, you have to look at the whole person.
Yeah.
Like Terry rightly said, what about my emotions? So emotions are going to put you in a famine state too. Stress will put you in a famine state. Trauma will. Toxins will. You've got chronic fatigue will. You've got to look at the whole person in order to answer that question. And that's why we've put together the coaching program that we have, where we've got nutritionists, psychologists, exercise physiologists. Everybody's working together to deal with the whole person. So that question is a very unique question, or the answer is that everybody's unique, which leads us to the next sort of topic, which is I know in your approach you look at the whole person and you look at everyone as unique. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, usually people hire me to put them on a diet, and then they usually discover and uncover things about themselves they didn't know. Just like that self-discovery, I usually do like baby steps, and I recommend, I'm a huge fan of food logging, and not just food logging, more like how you feel when you're eating, and just kind of checking in with your body, like knowing how many hours you slept, did you drink water, just kind of like a little mini check sheet. And this is a good way that you start gathering more information about yourself. And then that helps it's kind of like detective work too. And then I usually see people have tons of release from things that was holding them back for success when they start to do that.
So can you talk about that? Because that's not something that we talk about at all, food logging.
Oh, okay.
And I'm always concerned about food logging because I feel like it's
Okay.
going to make people too obsessed with food and too focused on food.
I agree.
And then use it as a venue for feeling guilty. And so normally if I was interviewing someone and they said food logging, I'd just brush right over that question and not give it attention. But because our approaches are so similar, I'm wondering if you could elaborate on that, what you mean by that.
I didn't like any mainstream food log tracker things out there. Like I don't like anything that says anything with calories, protein, so I totally agree with you on that. I actually just kind of did a little mini check-in sheet for people. You know how like every day you probably in the middle of your day, John, you kind of go, okay, what have I had and what have I not had today? Like I kind of have to stop and take a deep breath and just go, okay, where am I at with my day? If I'm feeling a little stressed, what have I missed? Or if I'm feeling, just kind of that little mini check-in. So that's what I consider a food log is more about a daily declaration. Just like, where am I at? And then with my food, I do it to help people with their macronutrient balance. We don't do portions or calories or anything. It's more like, oh, cool, here's my protein, here's my fat, here's my starches or carbohydrates. And then they go, oh, this is all I need to do every day is to check and see what have I had or not had yet. So that's kind of a refreshing feeling versus...
I'm glad we talked about that then, because that's very, very different than what I think most people listening, they're already going to start adding up the calories of everything that they're eating. And so that's something that I do just instinctively. Like, so if it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I sort of do a check-in with myself, and just more of a blood sugar thing, So
exactly.
am I tired? Am I hungry? Did I have a big breakfast? Am I calm? Oh, I had lots of nuts and seeds, so I'm feeling good. Did I have enough water? Those type of things. It's more of a blood sugar check-in, and so that type of thing makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'll call it daily declaration instead of food log. That's a better term. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
Yep. I do have people monitor.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I still have people monitor their sleeping patterns and bowel movements and such too. It's just more, again, like taking more responsibility for your own health, and that's what my check-in sheet looks like.
I remember you said something when we were talking that I thought was actually very profound. So usually when you deal with someone in the beginning, and the typical profile of the person is they're highly stressed out, highly toxic, overweight, eating all the wrong foods. You say that the two things you look for initially is getting a good night's sleep and making sure they're having good regular bowel movements. Is that right?
I wrote a blog on sleep and poop. So just like a baby, that's how babies are so healthy. That's when your body's functioning at its prime. And so when people come to me for weight loss and they're constipated, where's the body fat going to go? How is it going to leave the body? It can only leave through urine output, bowel movements, sweat, and respiration. So people come for weight loss, but I got to get them healthy first before you can lose weight. Can't lose weight.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you get that happening? Like, what's your advice?
Macronutrients galore. Vegetables, healthy fats, lean proteins, all the above. Those get the body, the organs, like I almost think of we have to get the heart and the liver and the digestive tract and the stomach working up to optimal function, because if you're constipated or have other issues, your body is not working up to optimal function. So implementing that does.
Okay, so let's talk about healthy fats for a second, because that's sort of a passion of mine. Like, what are your favorite healthy fats?
Well, living here in California, number one, avocado. We have avocados everywhere. And then I'm a big fan of coconut oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil. Those two for cooking, and then olive oil and other oils for like seed oils for more salad dressings, like flaxseed oil. Even avocado oil is really good right now too for salad dressings. And then nuts and seeds and omega-3s are those are my big categories for essential fats.
And so where do you get your omega-3s?
Usually omega-3 fish oils or chias, or those are my top two. Chias, chia seeds too.
I just went to a raw food restaurant. I just did a blog on this in my
support
I saw that. Oh, you saw that. The chia seed wraps. Have you seen chia seed wraps?
No, I've not seen chia seed wraps.
It's so brilliant. So for everyone listening, this is basically you're taking a wrap. So normally a wrap is made out of wheat, and wheat's going to elevate your insulin levels, cause digestion problems, cause you to gain weight. And instead, it's made out of chia seeds, not wheat. And chia seeds are full of protein, fiber, and omega-3s, dehydrated so that it's not, you don't lose the essential fats. You wrap up. You can in the morning you can do like a Mexican eggs type of thing. Put eggs and salsa and avocado. Wrap it up. You can wrap up salmon and salad. You can take tuna fish to work with you in a chia seed wrap. I love the idea. So that to me is the ultimate win-win scenario.
Raw food chefs and their recipes are amazing, aren't they? They always come up with some amazing raw food ideas.
I'm starting to really love them. So also I want to talk. I know you talk a lot about just how modern life leads to weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you could just explain that a little bit. What you mean by that?
Well, modern life, from stress to technology, I feel like we're just disconnected with nature too, and that disconnect is not allowing us to listen to our body's messages. Our bodies are so brilliant and smart. So, for example, like a headache, if you're experiencing a headache, if you do that little self-check-in like we just said, you could be like, oh wow, no, my water intake is low. I haven't had a snack for over 4 hours. Instead of going straight to Advil or another type of headache aid, you can do this check-in and do a few different things, and your body will get back to homeostasis, to balance quicker versus covering it up or putting a Band-Aid over the symptom. So that really puts us out of touch with what our messages are, and that's what we need to listen to. It's not your doctor's responsibility to take care of your health. It's yours every day, little baby steps like that, and doing experiments and just that constant being on top of it.
So really just bring a lot of consciousness into health more than restriction is really what I'm hearing. Does that make sense?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So well said. Ooh, that's a good one.
All right. That's a nice little sound bite there. So thanks. So we're going to talk. I want to talk about your 5 tips of healthy eating for energy. But before we do, I just want to bring Jenny back in because I know we have a lot of questions. And we're not going to be able to get to anywhere near all of them, but let's just take a couple more before we do that. So, Jen, are you there?
Yes. Lorna asks, do hormonal changes during menopause affect your ability to lose weight? Is the approach to weight loss the same no matter your age, or do women going through menopause need to take a slightly different approach?
Okay. Do you want to answer that, Heather?
I'll let you start, and I'll see what I add in.
Okay, so so menopause absolutely can cause a resistance to losing weight. According to Dr. Howard Leibowitz at the Leibowitz Longevity Center, the real reason is because it increases the overall stress load of the body. And as we talked about, stress can lead to weight gain. So I always ask people, whenever I'm counseling someone and coaching a woman in her either late 30s to early 50s, I always want to know where they are in the menopause cycle, because that's going to give me a real clues about how to approach it. So you do need to tailor the approach to where you are in the menopause cycle and whether or not you're taking hormone replacement therapy and whether it's being done right. So there's certainly a lot of considerations to take in, but one thing that's true for everybody is the less stress you have, that's physical and emotional and mental stress, the less stress you have, the easier it will be for you to lose weight in menopause. So stress can come from the wrong foods, it can come from what we normally think of stress, like mental stress and trauma. So this approach that we're talking about and that Heather's talking about, we're really focusing on macronutrients and really healthy foods and reducing stress is going to help you navigate through it the best way possible. But definitely you do need to customize things depending on where you are in the menopause cycle. And that's why that's another reason why we do this coaching that we're doing right now, is to help really customize your situation, because you are very unique in the whole package of how much stress you have and where you are in the menopause cycle and many other things. Did you want to add to that?
Correct. I usually, it's more like I want them to not react so much to stress, to more respond. And then my major thing is to get them to sleep through the night. So I usually recommend high omega-3 foods before they go to bed, like not before you go to bed, but right in your evening meal. A lot of foods with omega-3s and magnesium. because during the night is when we want them to sleep and regenerate and get their hormones to rebalance and recalibrate while they're sleeping. So I kind of tweak throughout their day and recommend certain foods that are higher in vitamin D, magnesium, and omega-3s in the evening.
So magnesium helps you sleep deeper, is that right?
Yes, correct.
What do you think of those magnesium sprays? Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I haven't seen a lot of consistent results with those.
Okay.
I've seen really good results with, green leafy vegetables, of course, and then some magnesium things that are calming, some formulas that bring in some more calming effects. Even chamomile tea, some herbal teas in the evening can help too.
Yeah, there's no question that chamomile tea can help. Okay, Jen, you want to ask another question, please?
Yes, if I've had my gallbladder removed, is it okay to take bile salts to help digest fats better along with a liver cleanse?
Gallbladder is I would have to ask more questions on that specific person before I would give too much information, too much of a protocol. But they're on the right track with certain things like that, and some digestive enzymes too, because your gallbladder also was helping you digest fats. So you need some enzymes that help digest fats also.
I agree with you, and what I usually recommend also, Heather, is that digestive enzymes are essential when you've had your gallbladder removed. And normally I recommend digestive enzymes from a plant-based source, but if you've had your gallbladder removed, you want to get them from an animal source because it'll have bile in it. Do you agree with that?
True, and I sometimes give both. I sometimes try both too. Yeah, it depends on the predicament.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you've had your gallbladder out, you can't get enough digestive enzymes. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, Jen, let's take one more question, and then we're going to get to the 5 tips of eating for energy.
Okay, I'm just going to come back to the L-arginine because there's a bit of discussion on the chat about it. And, well, we got the answer before about almonds having the highest, and the lowest apparently is sunflower and pumpkin. And somebody else says that L-arginine encourages herpes. Therefore, I understand that nuts are not recommended. Are there any good nuts?
Okay. Okay, so I think we're getting way off topic in my opinion as far as L-arginine and causing herpes, because really what matters again is you being unique as an individual, and all nuts. Some nuts are good for you, some nuts are bad for you, and you'll know basically when you eat something, you'll know based on how you feel after you eat it. If you're tired after you eat it, it's probably not the right nut for you. If you're having any kind of breakout or reaction, it's not the right one for you. Certainly nuts that have more omega-3s are better. You want nuts to be raw and bioavailable, preferably soaked and then dehydrated, and then they're gonna be really good.
Yeah. I love learning from my peers who are really passionate, that are kind of extreme, and you probably can think of some people who you listen to with nutrition. However, what I think my strength is to not just keep following the extremes and the specifics, but really take it down to the level of how it can be realistic and implement it into your own life versus your left brain knowing versus wisdom. That's just like there's such things versus knowledge versus wisdom, and wisdom is knowing your body versus knowledge. So.
Perfectly said, Heather. I would never take or not take a nut because of a specific amino acid. There's just no way that I would do that. I don't focus on specific. Yeah. I think and a lot of people do that. I think it's a mistake because your body uses the amino acids. If you give your body all the essential amino acids that it needs, your body's going to use them in the right proportions. I think it's a mistake to actually take 1 or 2 isolated amino acids, because a lot of amino acids are neurotransmitters. And if you take them in an isolated form, it really messes you up. A perfect example is when you take aspartame, which is NutraSweet, which is 2 amino acids put together. One is phenylalanine, and the other is aspartic acid. Phenylalanine, when it goes into the brain, is such a powerful neurotransmitter that it can actually activate the fat programs if it's in too concentrated an amount. It creates an excitotoxic effect. So as long as you're just looking at the whole food and not going under a microscope with it, you're in the right direction. Does that make sense?
True, and the whole body. It's even the immune system too. So with wondering how to build the body versus worrying, again, that's putting the fires out versus building up the body.
Yeah, I think it's also the difference between being a holistic thinker in terms of your overall health and being a specialist. And I heard someone once say a specialist is knowing more and more and more about less and less and less. And to me, you need to be holistic. I care more about how you feel when you're driving to work than how much L-arginine is in a nut. So I'm going to kind of like, basically say that you got to look at the whole picture of your life, not focus on a specific.
That gets us caught in the all or none and perfect thing again.
Exactly. Exactly. It gives us something sort of to kind of obsess about. So, all right. So let's talk about the 5 tips to eating for energy.
This is my $1 million secret, John, is my 5 deep breaths before you eat. So let's everybody take a 1 deep breath right now. Don't you feel the difference?
Yeah, I do.
Your nervous system's more calm, which then calms your stomach and your intestinal lining. When you go to eat, you absorb all your vitamins and minerals in your small intestine. So when you take this relaxation approach, your body will be able to assimilate those vitamins and minerals more effectively, then giving you more energy.
I want to add to that when you eat when you're stressed out, what happens is you end up being kind of unconsciously shoveling food, and you end up just packing your stomach in. And I do this all the time. But if you take 1 or 2 deep breaths, it totally changes that stress dynamic. The cortisol that's causing you to crave sweets goes away, and everything changes. And I remember when I was losing weight, I spent a week with a lady named Madame Wang, who was a Qigong master. 60-year-old Qigong master who traveled through Europe helping people lose weight, doing weight loss for Qigong. I spent a week doing this, and I'm going to save you a week and $800 basically and give you the tip. The tip is basically you have a few deep breaths before you eat. That's Qigong for weight loss right there. And she's world famous throughout Europe and Asia in helping people lose weight with the Qigong for weight loss. So I'm going to endorse that. It's basically take some deep breaths before you eat. So I agree with that 100%.
I've seen a lot of clients lose weight with just that tip alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about tip number 2.
Eat slow and chew mindfully. Again, I'm a big fan of our digestive process because that's the core of our body. That's our stomach is what's going to break down the food and then efficiently and then bring it into the intestinal tract for your body to absorb, liver to filter. And the slower you can eat and just chewing and just really taking in all that food is going to help you with the digestive process.
Definitely. Okay. Before we talk about tip number 3, a lot of people are asking, what about the cost of eating healthy? A lot of people say, do you find that A, it does cost more to be healthy and to eat healthy, and is there a way to do it on a reasonable budget?
Well, it's all, I think, number one thing is perspective. I do get that question a lot, but I just know that if I had $5 left in my account and I just know what my purpose in my life is, and I'm very certain of my purpose, that I will feed my body correctly to live out my purpose. So you kind of have to just look at it in a big perspective picture.
Well, also, I find that, people, when you go to a grocery store, a peach might cost 50 cents or $1, and you're going to think that's a lot, but you don't think anything about going to a drive-through and spending $5 to $10 on a burger and fries. Buying fruits and vegetables, especially if you buy them at farmers markets, locally grown type of thing, there's so much. Or if you buy them at Asian markets, I saw an Asian cabbage yesterday that was like the size of a ginormous watermelon. I couldn't even carry it for $2.
Wow.
You just have to learn, and of course, obviously, you can grow your own, but if you are a little bit resourceful, there is no question that you can eat healthy, on a very reasonable budget.
Initially, I see my clients may wait, if they're not craving the food yet, they'll feel like they're going to let their vegetables go to waste in the bin. So it's almost like looking at that whole body approach that we're talking about, and then you just migrate to not letting those vegetables waste. You're like, oh, wait, I'm going to make a quick soup out of all these vegetables. They're getting a little wilted. It's just more,
Exactly.
again, taking on that responsibility to feed yourself and nourish yourself and not follow a diet. So that would separate you from it. If I had to eat a salad because I was following a diet versus eating a salad that I know that it's going to make me feel energized, that's totally two different things.
And then a third one I would even add to that is eating a salad because you absolutely love the taste of salad and you can't get enough of it. Because that happens to be where I am, quite frankly, at this point. And I wasn't always like that. It's not like I'm some kind of Superman or something. There's a lot of people that I'm sure both you and I have found that are in that situation where their preference is to eat a huge salad with some sort of animal protein, really delicious dressing. So that kind of leads me to tip 3, 2 cups of vegetables with every meal. I'm wondering if you could talk about that.
Yes, instead of me going around and taking things out from people, especially with the documentary, I added 2 cups of, that's all, their only guideline was to add 2 cups of vegetables with every meal. If they didn't know what to eat, I just say, you know what, just start with 2 cups of vegetables and go from there. And including breakfast, because that is, most of us don't think of vegetables in the morning, and that is our most important meal. Break the fast, whether it's vegetable juice or, eggs on top of a salad, eggs on top of like some leafy greens, even some fermented vegetables too. That's a good way to get your vegetables in the morning. So vegetable juice is my secret.
Well, the fermented vegetables have probiotics. Do you recommend people take probiotics or get it mainly from the food that they eat?
It depends again on this person. I've seen better results doing fermented vegetables. Well, I'll take that back. I've seen great results both ways, adding fermented vegetables in and taking probiotics. So especially after antibiotics, I have them take probiotics.
Yeah. It sounds like you've seen great results no matter what you do. I think you sort of have the mind.
It's detective work.
My personal opinion.
Keep trying.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Tip number 4, pay attention to how you feel.
Yes, I definitely want to balance people's blood sugar right away because that'll help them not have those cravings that take them off their meal plan and then make them feel that emotional guilt. So my goal is to get their blood sugar balanced. So I want them to check in within 5 to 10 minutes after they eat, 30 minutes, and 2 hours. And it's just a quick half-a-second check-in going, wow, how's my energy? Am I craving anything? How's my stomach feel? Do I feel bloated? Do I feel lean in my stomach? Well, that gives me so much information, and themselves too, that their protein, carbs, and fat were all balanced at the meal they just had. If they're consistently feeling exhausted at 3 o'clock, there's something they're doing for breakfast and lunch that is not supporting them. So we've already narrowed it down to, kind of tweak the breakfast and lunch to give them more support.
Okay. So when somebody finds, just to be clear, if we find at 3 o'clock or 11 o'clock, typically people have low blood sugar 11 o'clock, 3 to 4 o'clock, and then maybe after dinner. If we're finding that we're getting low blood sugar, we're tired, we're craving sweets, then what do we need to do? When you work with someone, basically they report that back and you guys kind of refine the diet. Is that the idea?
Correct. My other big $1 million secret is to eat first in the morning before any hot or cold drinks except for water.
Oh.
So eat first in the morning, and I have noticed my clients 3 to 5 o'clock just totally change. Their energy level changes in like 2 days. They're like, oh my goodness, I don't feel exhausted or need that second cup of coffee. So I have them eat breakfast first, then have their coffee or tea versus the coffee or tea because that's so acidic and not giving them any of the nutrition they need. They need the food. And your body's going to assimilate that better before the coffee and tea. That's one of my other secrets.
that makes perfect sense.
Right.
And then you have tip number 5. If you're eating something that you think is bad for you, you're right.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
The second you start to go, oh, I shouldn't eat that, you've done the whole chemistry experiment. The cortisol starts releasing, your body starts tensing up, you're not breathing, you're not being conscious, you're eating it from a guilt. You're coming in and eating it as from a guilt standpoint instead of embracing it. Whether it's gelato on a hot summer day, smile and eat it. I've had friends go, oh, I shouldn't eat this, and I look at them and I go, yep, you're right. you've ruined the moment with that stress that you've added to the food. Food isn't the stress. It's not supporting ourselves with the correct food that stresses us out. It's not the gelato's fault. It's what haven't been eating is what's going on. Your body needed the vitamins first before it took in the gelato or the dark chocolate.
Exactly. So it's about adding, and it's also about dealing with the whole person and not dealing with stress. That's beautiful. So is there anything else that you want to leave with our listeners before we go?
No, I'm just super excited to spread this message. I've been looking for people to spread it with, so I'm so happy. I couldn't be more excited. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that, to me, Heather, you're just a tremendous find because
Oh, thanks.
I just think your approach is just brilliant. The way you connect with people is perfect, and I'm happy you're going to be working with us. So, so for those of you that are listening, Heather's going to be one of our coaches in the Ultimate Coaching Program, and the way the Ultimate Coaching Program works is that we look at the whole person. You're going to have your coach mentor is going to direct you to people like Paul yesterday, who deals with stress and stress management, and Heather to deal with nutrition. And you're going to talk to Brian in a couple of days about the right way to do exercise. But you're going to be guided through whatever's right for you. This is the most comprehensive coaching program we've ever put together, and this is the result of years of coaching that I've been doing now, and now working with other coaches to really refine the message and to create the best application, to give you the best tools and resources. And the coaching program is mainly filled up. We only can take about 60 people only. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go to thegabrielmethod.com/ultimate. That's thegabrielmethod.com/ultimate. And if you think it might be a good fit, go ahead and put in an application, and what happens is our assistant, Anna, is going to call you, and you guys can have a chat about it.